I'm Nate with Average Jack Archery Pro Shop and Range here in Phillipsburg, PA, and AverageJackArchery.com, where orders $99 and up get free shipping to anywhere in the lower 48. Today we are talking about the Mathews ARC 34, and I will get this right out of the gate. This is, without a doubt, the best bow Mathews has ever made. If you are a longtime follower of the channel or you are a regular customer in the shop, you know that I am not a Mathews fanboy. There's usually something about the bow that irks me, but this 34 is literally everything that you would want as a big guy or as a crossover bow or just as a really, really stable hunting bow platform. That 33 to 35 inch range I think is actually what most people should be shooting. Now, I'm not going to take any away from the ARC 30. That's a different video. We'll review him separately, but it is this 33 to 35 inch range I think for every manufacturer is where they should live and find a way to optimize this length for everybody. When you shoot a bow that is stable, I mean, that's just the thumb, right? Thumb and a whisker, basically. That's all I'm doing here. That is how a bow should sit in the hand. This is by far, and just a handful of arrows I've sent down range with it, is by far the best balanced hunting bow that Mathews has ever made. That's a big deal for me because there are three things that matter: the mass weight of the bow, the draw cycle of the bow, and the grip of the bow. The mass weight has to deal with how stable it is. Is it top heavy, which it's not? You know, the old Mathews like the Halon, the Triax, the No Cam, very top heavy. This is not that, okay? The Lift X was very solid. This I feel is even better. Very normal brace height in that 6.5 inch range for a 34 inch axle to axle bow. Speeds are cooking, but you can watch other reviewers for speed, okay? You're not here for that. You're here for the honest average guy review. Mathews is still rocking their Engage grip. I'm still not a fan of what they do with the texturing on the back. I wish it was just kind of flat, but that is what it is. That's user preference. If I was to shoot this bow, I'd pop his grip off and I would just shoot side plates. They're still offering all the different grip options that they launched last year with the Lift X, the Contour, the Taper, the Engage, the side plates. I feel there's one more that I'm forgetting, but you get the idea. For $100, you can change your grip out. If you want the Be Real grip, you could do that as well. You still have the limb shift technology, which I was very skeptical of when it first launched. I was afraid the guys were going to take it, and since that limb is being pulled down and off to the side, it was going to shear something, crack something, splinter something. It has not. And I have dealt with a absolute pile of the Lift X's from last year, and that tuning system, zero issues there. It's the same cam, so thankfully as a shop owner, it's the same modules, thank God. When we switched from the Switchweight to the Switchweight X, that was a giant pain in the butt. Still have a ton of the mods left over, but thankfully this is a Switchweight X. I have the Switchweight Z on here just so you could see that, possibly the lettering there, the Switchweight Z. That is their smooth mod, so Mathews is starting to do performance mod into smooth mod. In the 34 inch though, I will say this bow, when they shipped it to us dealers as a preview package, it was either 29 or 29 and a half, 70 pounds. I thought the Z mods were on it when I drew it back. That's how smooth the standard, I'm just going to call them performance mods. They're not called the performance mods, they're just the standard Switchweight X mods. I thought it was already had the smooth mods on it. So somehow they made this bow in a 34 inch platform smoother than the 33 inch Lift X last year. I put the Switchweight Z-ons, and on the 34, I can tell a difference, but it's not astronomical in that mid-range. Now, I've not put it to like my draw length, so 31, 31 and a half. I could see, because this bow goes out to 32 inches of draw length, anytime you take anybody's bow, Mathews included, and put it at the ends of the cam, so the really short end and the really long end, the draw cycles, the draw force curves get weird. I noticed when I put smooth mods on like my elites that I shoot, it helps with the back end of the cam. I'd be very interested to see if this at 31, 31 and a half, 32, if shooting that Z mod, because you're already getting the speed anyway as a long draw guy, if shooting the Z mod is going to help with that hump and dump on the back end, because the cams just aren't optimized for it. And same thing on the short end when you get down to that 25, 26, 27 range, if it would feel better there as well. Time will tell on that, and as more users get their hand on this bow. But I do like the Z mod on the short guy. Again, a different video. Same technology in terms of the limb system. The limb pocket is lighter. It's definitely a thinned down limb pocket, so you do need the ARC limb legs. You cannot get away with the standard Engage or the Engage Exo limb legs. Neither one of those will fit. You have to go with the ARC limb legs. In terms of everything else about this bow, it looks like Mathews. The riser is definitely way more Swiss cheese. That's how they got the weight down. It is 4.2 pounds on my scale. I took the tag off. There wasn't a whisker biscuit on it. 4.2 pounds and a 34 inch axle to axle bow. That's what I was saying. This is the best bow they've made. Getting a 34-inch axle-to-axle hunting bow to a 31-ish normal average weight, that's insane. It holds like a rock for being a 34-inch bow. It just feels really good. I can see a lot of Mathews shooters taking this on the tournament trail, the ASA, the IBO. Could even see people shooting this for indoors, in particular a shorter stature guy, a lady, with all the different weight options and the switch weight technology. I think Mathews has done a really good job with this bow this year. The oddity is now that they've started to introduce the 7-degree down stabilizers, right, which is their integrated stabilizer system. So instead of it being cut straight both top and bottom, you can stick it in here and it'll sit, obviously you have your set screw in there, and it'll sit at a 7-degree down. I like this. This is nice, as a lot of people are starting to understand that the more weight you put below the grip, the better a bow balances, in particular the short ones. Your 30, 31, 32-inch platforms. The only downside to this, and this is a dealer gripe, we'll put a warning across the screen. This is a dealer gripe because if you're just the end consumer, you don't care. But I have to stock both of these. I have to stock both the angled bar and the non-angled bar. However, dealers, if you're listening, I think we have a workaround with that because these bars are very expensive to begin with. Just order the bar that you want. If you want the straight one, sure, take the straight one, but you don't have to run it at the down degree if you don't want to. Just push it past. Right, so if you ordered, let's say you want this at a 12-degree down, and you want this, or excuse me, 7-degree down, but you want like a 10 or a 12-inch bar, just order the size up, right? So if you want an 8, get a 10. If you want 10, get a 12. And if you want to run it to down degree, go ahead and do that. But then if you want it just to be straight, you can just push it in an extra inch or so, and it'll ride right there. So the beauty of the straight ones that didn't have the angling in them is a lot of my customers were buying the longer ones they didn't need. And so they were buying a 10 or a 12 because you could hide it, right? For storage, you can literally suck it all the way in and it fits inside the profile of the bow. With the 7-degree down, you can actually flip it and run it this way. It'll work. You can, of course, run it this way where actually the chamfered grooves are. And I know Mathews probably doesn't want me to talk about this in the video, but as a dealer, it's a real giant pain to stock expensive things in specific things. I'm looking at you, site manufacturers. It's really easy when stuff is way more modular. As a shop owner and as an end user, if you don't want to run it in a exact 10-inch 7-degree down, buy the 12-inch and just suck it in a little bit more, and you get a 12-inch straight bar or 10-inch straight bar as well. Anyway, just something to think about. They've done a few other odds and ends, like they've integrated the Silent Connect system. It's now as a machine part of the riser, so you can run your Silent Connect rope through here and pull it through there. If that's what you've done in the past, getting your bow up a tree. I think it's a little over-engineering. I think it's the best mousetrap type idea, if you will. But everything about this is basically, in terms of how it's going to function, is exactly the same. They did throw in the weight at the end of the cam here. Mathews was known for this for years. I'm actually surprised it took them this long to bring back weights into their cam. It gets you extra speed because when this cam throws around, it snaps it harder and faster, and with the same draw force curve or even a smoother draw force curve, you get the same or even faster speeds. So yeah, like I said, I'm not putting this through a chrono. You guys can go watch the other reviewers for that. This is your average Joe review of this bow and how this is going to fit in the marketplace and how this functions. Let's draw it back real quick. Let's hope there's no target over here, so let's hope I don't put an arrow into my wall. Again, this is 70 pounds, 29 and a half with these Z mods, but again, I don't notice on the 34-inch platform anything different. That is fantastic. I just love a good 34-inch, 33, 34, 35-inch platform. It just holds very steady. I mean, just the stability of it is just so nice. Yeah, I really think, I've said this before, but the 33, 29 and a half that Mathews have made in the past couple years, that most people are gravitating towards the longer axle to axle because, sure, I understand that you might not want, it's just a nice draw. So those are my first 2 draws of the day too, so my elbow might be a little bit poppy, but in terms of how it feels. And that Z-mod does come off the back wall, but don't get me wrong, there's definitely close to 85% there, but it definitely has a generous valley to it, that Z-mod. Again though, 34-inch model, I'm not noticing a massive difference between the two in this 29 and a half inch range. But anyway, I feel like a lot of people are going to be using this bow for a lot of different applications. I feel like this is going to be a hunting bow, it's going to be a 3D bow, it might even be an indoor bow. Again, I'm not a Mathews fanboy. Usually I have some sort of gripe. My biggest gripe this year is the stabilizer. that's next to nothing, right? Run whatever stabilizer systems you want. They do have the standard bushings to run any stabilizer in the universe. So if you don't want to run the Mathews specific bars, you don't have to. Now, street price on this. This is definitely one of your most expensive, if not the most expensive aluminum bow outside of maybe Hoyt. You're going to be talking around $1,500 street price for this bow in the 34 and around $1,400 for the 30 inch. That's definitely pricey. I know I get customers that come into my store all the time like, I'm ready to upgrade to a $1,000 bow. I'm like, I'll bet you are. Here's a mid-price bow. Because $1,000 doesn't buy you a flagship bow anymore. And so at $14.99 roughly, $13.99 for the short guy, it's definitely one of the steeper aluminum bows on the market. But I will say, if you want to get a bow, I think that's going to do all the things that you want to do, or at least the vast majority of things that you want to do. And again, at 4.2 pounds and a 34-inch axle-to-axle platform as a hunting bow, I know people gripe about the length of bows. I love hunting with a 35-inch axle-to-axle bow. I think it just offers stability. I think it offers smooth draw. I think it gives you everything you want, longer distance shots when you're sitting there shaking like a leaf because you got deer, you know, a giant 8-point, 10-point, whatever, standing out there at 35, 40 yards. You want to make a really clean, ethical shot, and having a bow platform that's giving you a little bit more forgiveness, you're going to wish you had it because it's worth its weight in gold, or lack of weight in gold. So that's all for this video on the Mathews ARC 34. I will link somewhere in the description the Mathews ARC 30 review video. If you have any questions about this bow, you want to stop into the shop, 21 North Front Street here in Phillipsburg, PA. If you have any questions and you want to come down and check out the bow, you are more than welcome to do so. If you have a question that you want to leave here on YouTube, please do down in the comment section below. Of course, you can find us at Facebook and Instagram at Average Jack Archery. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and head down to your local Mathews dealer and try the new ARC 34. And we'll get to see you next time.